Hi everyone, how's it going? So this is my sort of playground express here, and I've already got the code loaded in. At least I should. So um, I'll just kind of quickly explain what my idea was, what I was thinking, and like the general themes of it, and then hope and pray this works. Basically, my idea behind it is to make it into a sort of like kind of basically the circuit equivalent of like a stress ball, the circuit board equivalent of that, or like a nice kind of like mindfulness or um, wellness, or even just like satisfying little like fidget toy or gadget, basically. Which I was worried sounds kind of cheesy at first, and obviously I can't fully represent it. I don't think like with just this one circuit, um, but yeah, no, I think it's a pretty unique idea, and so yeah, essentially the essence behind it was to have like a series of different input sequences that you could like go through on it in whatever order you wanted, and kind of memorize what the different ones are without looking at the code unless you wanted to get some instructions on how to use it for yourself or how to like play with it, I guess. Um, yeah, so I kind of used the A1 and A3 touch sensors, both A and B buttons, and then it's able to tell whether you face it up or face down, and you can also shake it. And it has like kind of a little bit of a startup sequence um, as well whenever you first load the program onto it. So it actually only goes through that like one time ever between, unless you'd like were to hit the reset and put the code back on again. Which is just like a little extra thing that it can do when you first load the code in, like to know that it's working. Yeah, so let's see here. Basically, it's got like the idea is that it's got kind of like two main different modes to it. So A and B, or one and two, basically, like mode one and mode two, mode one and mode two. And so A is kind of like the main one. So when you hit that, it lights up with a gradient from, and it plays like kind of what I was hoping would be a bit of a more of a soothing tune, right? And it's a gradient from yellow and orange to red, which kind of it roughly lines up with the touch sensors here. But the touch sensors don't perfectly line up with the lights, so I couldn't make it line up perfectly. They're sort of offset, but it's like a gradient of what might symbolically represent like kind of being just a little on edge or something, right? And just wanting to like use it, progressing to like a state of being maybe more like overstimulated and like I guess like even more stressed out, right, or worked up or whatever, which would be like roughly where the red one is, or the red color is, which is mapped to the bound to the A3 sensor. Yeah, so and you can memorize which ones they are and just play with them in different combinations just for fun to see how they work. So you hold down on A1 here, and it's a long hold, so you kind of have to like, I made it like that on purpose, so you have to like be very intentional about it. Powers up, and then you get this like nice rainbow ring. Freezes there for a second, does another ding-a-ling, stays blue for a second, and then it turns this blue and purple gradient, fades out to darkness and turns green right before it turns itself off. And then you go to the other side of the spectrum, and admittedly there's not much difference between like what's supposed to be the just little on edge and most stressed out, but which is a noteworthy issue and something I would want to like further build out. But just with like the amount of time and like simple sounds and animations I have to work with, I don't know if there's a way to distinguish between one being much more of a stressful state than the other. Just even with like kind of broad symbolism and however you want to use it, it still was kind of difficult. But this is like the other end of the spectrum, kind of. Long hold on A3, flashes red, powers up, and so yeah, I wanted to use like color red, but then it kind of like fades back down to blue, spins its wheels for a second, like like all right, deep breaths kind of thing, right? And then flashes white and goes back out, and so then you could either go back to one or A1 or A3 again, or like go back to sort of the main menu of the A button, go through the same intro sequence again. And if you wanted, you could go to A1 or A3. Or you could go to the B sequence lights up the other half of the ring with a similar gradient. And I sort of tried to just have it play the opposite melody for the intro there. And then, yeah, this is like the second side of it is like where it gets most physically interactive. So, you know, like face down, goes red, powers down, face up, powers back up for you, and then you can shake it, and it does like a little pew pew laser gun thing, and then flashes for a second before turning itself back off. I really like using a combination of A3 and shake because you get like the spinning wheel that slowly clears out and then fades out, and then you can do a shake, and it's like then it all the way it's like powers back down, and it's like you kind of went through almost like a full progressive sequence. But you could also, you know, do it all of the possible interactions in any order you wanted, like start at A on the A side, and then do A1 and A3, and then do the intro sequence for B, and then do all of the physical interactions, or you could do them in any order you wanted. An interesting thing to note, though, is if you go through it too fast, it can actually get, the poor little thing can get kind of overwhelmed and stressed out itself, which I think is definitely something that could probably be better controlled with more uses of like variables and loops, which admittedly I just have to get more skilled with and used to. But I think in a way that almost is like kind of like a representation or feature that's representative of just being mentally overstimulated in itself. And it's also kind of a funny bit of irony because this thing that is supposed to be a relaxation tool can also get overwhelmed itself, but it's like a reminder to not go too fast or anything like that. And I'm probably already using up quite a good bit of time, so I'm just going to really quickly pull up the share screen here, and this is my browser window, and this is what I got. So I kind of left some text notes for myself, and then just the series of like input sequences, right? So you start the main mode with A and alternate into B, and then if you want to take the time to look through these, you can see everything that was happening. So yeah, don't want to do anything with that game update just yet. So yeah, there we go. And obviously still kind of a broad concept, very symbolic and abstractly represented, but I thought it would be an interesting idea and tie into other themes of a mental space that I've been working with this quarter too. So thanks guys, take care.